even if I was walking around saying that, like, I think I'm actually a white guy, I'm actually Caucasian, and I'm like, trapped in the wrong, people would laugh. This has happened, by the way.
Oh yeah,
this has happened. There were like
exactly, right? Yeah, exactly.
White people talking about, I identify as black, and people are laughing at it.
And they get offended at it, by the way.
Exactly, people are laughing, people are offended, and then suddenly, like, you'll have a guy like me, big man like me, big man like you with a beard, and you're sort of like, oh, I'm a woman, and everyone's like, oh, this is a woman. You're not going, if you said that you were, a black man, people are going to laugh and like look at it crazy. Whereas, I mean, I'd say biologically, you're closer to that than you are to being a woman, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
I don't understand why.
Yeah.
I had a clip go viral on the internet, got millions and millions and millions of views, where I was having a debate with a young woman on this whole topic. And I explained to her that transracialism is more logically coherent than transgenderism. And it is.
Yeah.
Because quote unquote race is actually a spectrum. Okay? So whereas like any child who's born, it's a boy or girl.
Yeah.
Boy or girl. All around the world, it's a boy, it's a girl. All through history, it's a boy, it's a girl. Okay? But what about race? Race is not binary.
Right, exactly.
You're right. It's not binary, right? So someone might look at you and be like, "Oh gosh, like I don't actually know like what's your racial ethnic background." Like it could be a lot of different things.
Children, all kinds of
exactly. My own son, I'm by blood, I'm Nigerian, Igbo specifically. My wife is half Cuban, half Panamanian, actually has some Chinese ancestry and so on. I'm sure if you go further back like this, so like, my son's a boy. He's a boy. He's a boy.
Yeah.
Like, what race is he?
Yeah.
Is he? I don't know.
Right.
Like, right. And that's true of so many people. And so it's like, well, surely, if you take any, I don't know, Barack Obama, people say Barack Obama is a black man. He's just as white as he is black.
Yeah.
Okay. Due to the actual social construct, people will say he's black.
Yeah.
Although he's just as white as he is black. But Barack Obama identifying as white or even identifying as Arabic is more coherent and more believable than him identifying as a woman.
Yeah.
But the former people would say, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's not even.
Yeah.
You just look at him and like if you just saw him and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm Indian," you wouldn't bat an eyelid. If you didn't know who he was, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. But if you said, "I'm a woman," you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah. Right.
Just again, I don't need studies. Like, just.
Yeah. Well, so the thing with the studies is, it's so funny because the thing with the study, common sense, as they say, isn't so common.
No.
The thing with the studies, and why I sort of cite that ad infinitum in the book is because we've heard this phrase, follow the science.
Yes.
Right? So without picking on people too much, you have this creed. So I don't know if it doesn't happen here. I'm sure it doesn't happen here. But in the States, you'll walk by a house and there'll be a sign out in front of the house. I know that one. And it'll say, "In this house we believe," right? And it's basically the secular creed.
Yes.
It's the same thing as the Nicene Creed. It's just, or the Apostles' Creed. It's just a secular version of it.
Love
we
is love.
believe that love is love, and this and this and this and that, and science is real. Because what they're referring to is climate change.
Of course.
But okay, let's go with it. You believe science is real. So when the studies show that this kind of treatment is terrible for children, are you going to say the science is real? Or are you going to say, oh, it's biased and suppressed and should be ignored? Lisa Littman comes out with a study on rapid onset gender dysphoria. And it is panned by so many people, even though the science is valid, even though the methodology was great, it was peer reviewed. Nope. Retract that from the journal, have it republished with some other kind of, findings or whatever it is. I thought science was real. I thought we were cool with that. I thought that was part of your creed, for heaven's sake.
No.
Because that is quintessentially post-truth. Feelings and preferences matter more than facts and truth because we want to be autonomous. And so the reason why I think it's not, I shouldn't say it's not so obvious, because it is in one sense, but the reason why the obviousness doesn't change anybody's mind is because autonomy matters more. Is that it was obvious to Adam and Eve, don't eat this. The supreme being told you bad things will happen. I want to be with you, but you elevated your preference to be me. You're supposed to be with me, not be me. We're just inherently like this. This is a human problem, and I think when it starts to bleed over into actually hurting people, now we have to say something and stand up for this kind of thing and stand up against the reality collapse.
Yes.
And I think that's a part of the cultural moment we're in right now, is not just as a post-truth, but post-truth is now matured into this reality collapsing thing where we are almost okay with the fakery. You know, I think about 1984, and I realize it's overused, but when O'Brien is torturing Winston and saying, what is 2 + 2? And Winston says 4, and then he tortures him until he says 5. O'Brien says, you know, Winston basically says, it can't be anything but 4. And he says, no, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5, O'Brien says. And he says, why are you torturing me, essentially? He says, because, Winston, it's not easy to become sane. And so the party says, you're only sane if you do what we say. And I feel like the bioclasm that I'm worried about is collapsing reality so that you can become sane. Now, here's the good news. I have hope. I'm actually an optimist despite my cultural criticisms.
Yeah.
When you see the recent polling that's come out, you see that there was this huge spike in identification with a gender other than when you were born with, right? And then recently, in 2025, a huge plummet,
No longer
by
sane.
half.
Yep.
If it were a natural condition of the human condition, you wouldn't have that data.
No.
You just wouldn't. It very much shows you a social contagion that's born of this cultural schizophrenia and an effort to solve the contradiction by affirming your divinity.
Yes.
And you know, it goes back to the Bible predicted this. This is my argument. My argument is, if a book has divine origin, then it should predict with startling accuracy the human condition well before the science catches up. The Bible predicts the human condition with wild accuracy well before the science caught up. Therefore, the Bible is of human origin.
Yeah.
And this is one example.
Of human origin?
Sorry, of divine origin.
Okay.
Thanks for the correction. Therefore, it's of divine origin. Yeah, human influence. God used human beings to write it. But it says some things that we're now catching up to in so many fields. But this one in particular, I think, is why I think the solution really is a spiritual solution in going to this ancient document. That's why I think you do have young men, especially, but Bible sales in the West, this is cool, are way up in 2025. And young men finally going to church, and they weren't going to, we had a problem with men going to church, they just weren't going.
Yeah.
Women were going. Now, they tend to be leaving, but the men are going back. I think it's because they see that it's not easy to become sane, but torturing ourselves socially is not the way to do it. Maybe finding a transcendent root in who we are is the way to become sane again.